Now looks like the legal battle over President Obama's Affordable Care Act will reach the Supreme Court in the next few months. And we'll get this critical ruling right in the middle of the election season. Today's critics are renewing their call for Justice Clarence Thomas to disqualify himself. Why? Because his wife, Virginia, Ginny Thomas, is a major lobbyist for conservative groups, including the Tea Party.
Washington is broken. It's addicted to spending. It's addicted to power. America's at risk, and I didn't know how far left President Obama and the leadership was going to take us. Maybe we did get President Obama so that we can wake this country up. And you guys are the political first responders, and I love the Tea Party movement. The clear focus is to stop the Obama agenda.
The focus is to stop the Obama agenda. Really? Liberty Central, lobbying group that Ginny Thomas founded, is just as blunt on their website, saying they, quote, support repeal of Obamacare. But how much does Ginny Thomas really influence Clarence Thomas? Here, he'll tell you himself.
We love being with each other because we love the same things. We believe in the same thing. We are focused on defending liberty. So I admire her and I love her for that.
There you have it. We believe in the same things, but it's not just his wife. Thomas has cozied up to other conservative groups out to kill the Affordable Health Care Act. In 2008, Thomas spoke at a conference organized by the Koch brothers, the billionaires who funded the Tea Party fight against health care reform. Now the Koch brothers are using his appearance to drum up support for other events. Justice Thomas is famous for being silent on the bench. Now he's being silent about his own conflicts of interest. Joining me now, Congressman Lloyd Doggett, Democrat from Texas, and a former state Supreme Court justice. Congressman, thanks for coming on tonight. You're one of 74 lawmakers who wrote to Judge Thomas asking him to recuse himself from the case. Do you expect him to do it?
Reverend, I think he certainly should do it. When a justice is subject to question about his impartiality or her impartiality, she ought to step aside. And in this case, we've not heard back from Justice Thomas. This is such an important matter, with the Court of Appeals having divided on the question of the individual mandate, and one court saying the parties didn't have standing to bring the suit. It's so critical. It's such a big issue, with the judge's wife declaring herself an ambassador to the Tea Party and saying and being involved and earning money the way she does. It just really raises a question about his service. He ought not to be hearing this case.
Now, so people don't think we're just being partisan here. Let's look at the fact that when a judge, let's say what the rules say that a justice ought to look at, it says any judge, any justice, or magistrate judge in the United States shall disqualify himself in any proceeding in which his impartiality might reasonably be questioned. So, Congressman, you and the other 73 are saying it's very reasonable if he has spoke for groups that have led the fight against what is known as Obamacare. If his wife has founded a group and made public appearances, and I played the sound of her saying herself what has to happen with the president's health care and what the president stands for, I mean, I think that it is absolutely a hard and shut case that he's not impartial here.
He clearly has a lack of impartiality, and the same concern, of course, was raised by Common Cause back in that Citizens United case, that he was speaking at these Koch brother conferences and really couldn't be impartial. So I think this is part of a pattern of associating himself with these ultra-right-wing causes and then hearing a case as important as this. It would just be better for the respect and the position of the Supreme Court as a whole if he stepped aside and let other impartial judges of differing philosophies consider this case. It's not about his philosophy. It's about what he's done and the role his wife has chosen to play here as an ambassador to the Tea Party, he just has no business hearing this case.
And people have the right to take whatever position they want, but also must stand by the consequences of it, and that is that you should step aside if there is the appearances of partiality. Like he spoke for the Koch brothers. The Koch brothers also helped to fund the Heritage Foundation, where his same wife worked. Is that not also a conflict? In 2003, she made $121,000, 2004, $131,000, on and on down to 2007. This is the income she made from the Heritage Foundation. Koch brothers helped to fund it, and none of this was disclosed in the justice's disclosure forms. He said his wife made $0 for those years.
Exactly. It's really troubling. Hundreds of thousands of dollars that she receives from this foundation, describing herself now as a voice that will use her connections and experience to fight the agenda of the president. This suggests a lack of impartiality. It suggests a pattern. Justice Thomas has already been part of a majority, as you've noted, that have approved the pollution by corporations of our political process, and to starting in ways that would previously have been almost unimaginable, to now reach out and be involved in a decision as critical as health care, knowing how many Americans suffer from the current health care system and that we finally have a chance to do something about it. The very thought that someone who lacks impartiality would be there interfering with that health care law, that's really troubling. It goes really to the very core of our democracy and the need for impartial judiciary.
And I know that the 74 of you were attacked by some saying, oh, they're attacking Justice Thomas, but I don't think you can have Mrs. Thomas go out and attack the health care bills, and then when people respond and say, well, wait a minute, you stepped over the line of impartiality, we're stopping an attack on something that is good for America. We're not picking on somebody. We're saying you can't have it both ways.
Absolutely. You can be sure if there was someone else out there on the court and their wife was out doing what Ms. Thomas is doing, we would hear about it every day. This is a unique situation. The Thomas family has chosen to put themselves in this situation. I'm concerned about what happens to all those families that are out there counting on the new health care law to meet their needs, already getting some benefits from it, but the major benefit will come in 2014 if the court interferes with that with someone who is not a person of impartiality, who casts the deciding vote. That would really earn great disrespect for the Supreme Court.
Well, they deserve, the people, that is, an impartial hearing from the highest court in the land. Thank you.
It's what all of us would want. Yes, we don't want somebody who's already made up their mind. Thank you so much.
Congressman Lloyd Doggett, thank you very much for your time tonight.